What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Dave Reed, and today we're going to be going over a simple Demonology Warlock tanking guide for Season of Discovery Phase 4. Now, I've already done a Destruction spec for tanking on the channel, so you can go check that out if you would like. But today we are obviously focusing on Demonology. If you're new to my videos and new to my channel, I make simple guides. The point is to basically do a quick Spark Notes version of a guide. Not super in depth. We go over some things very briefly. So if you're looking for the basic rundown of how to play a spec, this is the place to be. We'll be going over our talents, our runes, as well as our abilities and our rotation. Normally in the past I would do stats and things like that, but instead this time I'm going to try something a little bit different. Either a pinned comment or in my description I will put the BIS and pre-raid BIS down there, so if you want to check that out, I will have that there. So if you want to copy and paste that or just have that opened, that's the place to look for it. Instead of me putting it on the screen and kind of making a big mess, I'm just gonna throw that information down below. So jumping right into it, we're going to be going over our runes. So we have for head, I'm running Vengeance. When activated, this ability temporarily grants you a 30% increase in your maximum health for 20 seconds. After this time expires, you lose that 30% increased health. In addition, while in meta form, Vengeance causes your wings to slow your falling speed. Then for our chest, I'm running Master Channeler. This is basically a perma drain life. So instead of having it be a channeled ability, it's now basically a passive. It runs for 15 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. So again, basically that perma drain life with Master Channeler. And most of us probably know this because it's a Phase 1 rune. Next, going into our waist, we're doing Shadow and Flame. Your critical strikes with fire and shadow spells increase your fire and shadows damage done by 10% for 10 seconds. So that's a bit of a you get a bit of a buff off of that one. Then for our legs, we are doing Demonic Grace. Surge with Fell Energy increases your pets and your own dodge chance by 30%, and your chance to critically strike with all attacks by 30% for last 6 seconds. So that's a 6-second ability. Next, with our feet, I'm doing Dance of the Wicked. You and your demon pet gain dodge chance equal to your spell critical strike chance each time you deal a critical strike to an enemy. And also both regain 2% of maximum mana. For our wrist, obviously you can see here I'm doing Summon Felheart. Obviously hands are doing Metaform. And for our finger, I'm doing one with fire specialization. Your second one can either be shadow or defensive. So just going into my rings here. For sure you don't have one for fire specialization, but you can do shadow or defense for the other one. Because it's not cumulative, I believe that it means it doesn't stack. So having two of these is basically pointless. And then our last slot for our back, I'm doing Infernal Armor. Your spirit becomes infused with demonic energy, reduces all magic damage you take by a percentage equal to your physical damage. Reduction from armor lasts 10 seconds. And then going into I want to go over the runes just so you know which ones are passives and which ones are actual abilities. Obviously, Felheart is an ability you summon a pet out. Vengeance is a 3-minute cooldown. Infernal Armor is a 1-minute cooldown. Demonic Grace is 20 seconds. And those are basically your the ones that you're looking at here. Obviously, like Master Channeler, that's an ability, but that affects an ability, so it's a passive. Next, we're going to go into our talents. So we have nothing into Affliction, and we have 21 points into Destruction. I have 5 points into Improved Shadow Bolt. Your Shadow Bolt critical strikes increase shadow damage dealt to the target by 20% until 4 non-periodic damage sources are applied. Effect lasts a maximum of 12 seconds. 5 points I put into Bane, reduces the casting time of your Shadow Bolt and immolate spells by half a second, and your Soulfire spell by 2 seconds. Then I put 5 points into Devastation, increases the critical strike chance of your destruction spells by 5%. I put 1 point into Shadow Burn. This is a finisher ability, costs 1 soul shard. If the enemy dies within the 5 seconds, you get that soul shard back. I put 2 points into Intensity. This gives you a 70% chance to resist interruptions caused by damage while channeling the Rain of Fire, Hellfire, or Soulfire spells. Then I have 2 points into Destructive Reach, increases the damage of your destruction spells by 20%. And then I put 1 point into Rune, increases the critical strike damage bonus of your destruction spells by 100%. Then going into our Demonology tree. So I put 2 points into Improve Hellstone. This increases the amount of health restored by your Hellstone by 20%. Then I put 5 points into Demonic Embrace. This increases your total stamina by 15%, but reduces your total spirit by 5%. I put 3 points into Fel Intellect. This increases your maximum mana of your pets by 9%. Then I put 1 point into Fel Domination. This is a 15-minute cooldown where your next summon pet has its casting time reduced by 5.5 seconds and its mana cost reduced by 50%. Then I have 4 points put into Fel Stamina. This increases the maximum health of your pets by 12%. Then I have 2 points into Master Summoner. This reduces the casting time of your pets summoning spells by 4 seconds and the mana cost by 40%. Then I have 5 points put into Unholy Power. This increases the damage done by your pet's melee attacks by 20%. Then I have 1 point into Demonic Sacrifice. When you activate this, it sacrifices your pet, and for 30 minutes you will get one of these benefits. So for the Imp, you will get increased fire damage by 15%. Voidwalker restores 3% of your total health every 4 seconds. Incubus and Succubus increases your shadow damage by 15%, and your Fel Hunter restores 2% of your total mana every 4 seconds. Then I put 2 points into Improved Firestone. So this increases the bonus fire damage from Firestones and the Firestone effect by 30%. And then finally I put 5 points into Master Demonologist. So whenever you summon a pet, you get one of these benefits. So if you summon an Imp, you'll get increased threat by 20%. Voidwalker reduces physical damage taken by 10%. Incubus and Succubus increases all damage caused by 10%. And Fel Hunter increases all resistance by 1 per level. Now the amazing thing about this ability and this ability is that when you summon your Felguard, you get all 4 of these abilities. So like I said, you get, if you look over from here, look over here, me and my pet both have 4 stacks. So we have the reduced physical damage taken by 10%, we have the increased damage caused by 10%, so then we have the increased resistance to all magic schools by 60, and then you have the increased threat caused by 20%. You get all of those, and the same thing applies when you sacrifice your pet. If you sacrifice your pet, you will get all of this. You'll get the 15% fire damage, you'll get the 15% shadow damage, and you'll get the 3% health increase as well as the 2% mana increase. That all comes together. So that's like the beautiful benefit of having the Felguard out. That's why this spec with the Felguard is so good, because you have all these benefits. And again, if you sacrifice your pet, if you want to run that way too, you'll get all those benefits as well. So next, jumping into our abilities. The biggest thing I want to talk about is 2 different things basically, which is your defensives and then your main abilities in rotation. So with our defensives, and when I'm saying defensives, I mainly just mean things like resistance and bubbles and things like that. I don't mean necessarily like your healing abilities. So obviously our healing abilities being, one is our Drain Life, which we will constantly have up. 2 being our Hellstone, and then another one is actually our Death Coil. 2-minute cooldown. It's kind of like a fear, but it doesn't do anything against bosses and things like that. You get a little bit of health back as well. I personally like to run Fel Armor, just because you get that that kind of ticking health increase. It kind of gives you that heal over time that I really like. But you can also run Demon Armor if you want to. Either one works, I think. I just personally prefer to run the Fel Armor. As far as your defensives go, I'll bring them down just because that makes them a little bit bigger for right now. So as far as your defensives go, you're going to have your 4 defensives here, basically. One is Demonic Grace. This is basically going to be your increase to dodge, taking less damage. And then you have your Infernal Armor. Obviously, your spirit becomes infused with demonic energy, reduces all magic damage you take by a percentage equal to your physical damage reduction from armor. Then you have your Vengeance, which is your increased health. This will increase your health for a little bit, 20 seconds. And then you have your Shadow Ward, which absorbs 675 shadow damage last 30 seconds. So those are your abilities there for defensives. Then as far as your rotation goes, as far as your regular rotation goes, first thing you want to do before the fight is kind of figure out what curse you're going to be using. My default is usually Recklessness, but depending on your group, depending on how many Warlocks you have, it's going to kind of change what curse you're going to use. I would say the 2 biggest ones are going to be your Curse of Elements or Curse of Recklessness. Like I said, my go-to is typically my Curse of Recklessness. I would say Recklessness, then Elements, then Agony, depending on how your group is set up. Once you have established that, what curse you're going to use, then we can go into how your fight is going to kind of look. So my opener is going to be Soulfire. So I'm going to Soulfire into an Immolate as my opener. Now Soulfire, you're going to use it as your opener. You're going to use it one time, and you're not going to use it ever again as far in that fight. So I do a Soulfire into an Immolate. And basically, it's Soulfire into an Immolate into a Corruption, and then keeping your curses up. And then basically, you're looking at your rotation being keep your Drain Life up, and then spam Searing Pain and Shadow Cleave, and then your finisher being your Shadow Burn. So that's basically the process of how you tank for Warlock, is just keeping your dots up, keeping your Drain Life up, and then just your filler being Searing Pain and Shadow Cleave. And again, your opener is your Soulfire, your closer is your Shadow Burn. And that's basically all you're doing for your rotation. Very, very simple. And like I said, you have your defensives up here. I really enjoyed this spec. I really enjoyed playing this spec. I think it's a fun spec to play. I actually prefer it over Destruction. It feels more fun to play, and I don't feel as squishy as Destruction. I feel like this spec, and that a lot of it has to do with the runes too. The runes can play a role with that too. Having the Felguard, and this spec is focusing more on the Felguard and the Drain Life, and having that Master Channeler up. My Destruction video didn't have that. I didn't use Master Channeler. But this is a much more like tanky spec, so you don't really die. You're not gonna be dying as much. You're not gonna be losing your health as much. Your healers will probably like you more because of the fact they don't have to heal you as much. But yeah, I've had a really fun time playing this spec, and I hope that you guys do too. And with that being said, that is going to be it for this video. I hope it helped, and I hope you guys have as much fun as I do when I play this spec. And with that being said, hope you have a good one. Take care.